ladies and gentlemen, parents, staff members of Chazon Tekna, my name is Amanda Dlamini, and I am an ACE graduate. I welcome you today to tell you about what ACE has done for me. The good foundation I was talking about. The foundation that has led me to great success, but at the same time that has kept me strong through all the difficulties that I've experienced. When I came across difficulties in university, and I'll tell you now, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. When I entered university, I did BSc Medical Sciences, but my heart wasn't in it. I couldn't envision myself graduating to be a medical science. I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be among patients. I wanted to be the type of doctor that you will say, that doctor treated my soul and in turn treated my disease. I wanted to see a change in something. I grew up with parents who were in the hospital constantly, so I could see patients suffering. I could see that by your mouth, but what you profess to people, you can heal them. And I said to myself, Lord, this is not where I'm supposed to be. It isn't. I didn't want to be there. So I started working hard, and it was hard. In university, they'll tell you they only accept 20 students who are already university students to be medicine. They tell you, you're sitting here, 250 students, you all want to be doctors. A possibility is that only 20 of you will get in. And some of you won't even make it to medicine. Some of you won't even finish. Some of you won't even graduate. They tell you all the negativity you can ever expect in your life. And you're a first year. You're straight out of ACE. What are you going to do? Where are you going to go? You know where I went? I went back to my roots, back to my foundation of ACE, the biblical principles that I learned from all that pace work. The scripture that I memorized came to me in my time of need. Albert Einstein once said that in the midst of difficulties lies opportunity. And through that, I saw an opportunity. I remember the worst thing that I didn't like about ACE was cross-referencing. Oh, it was tiresome. I mean, you'd make a mistake, and then you'd cross it off, you'd have to go back to your office, fix it, and then come back to the scoring station and have the monitor check that you've actually fixed your mistake. I didn't like that. I didn't. But you know what I learned? I learned that in life, a lot of people make mistakes, and they're afraid to rectify them. In life, a lot of people make mistakes, and they're afraid to say sorry. In life, you make mistakes, and people do not learn from them. I was taught that I cannot do all the mistakes that my peers were doing, because I can't live that long. The average human lives for 25,550 days. Do you know how old that is? 25,550 divided by 365 is? 70. It's about 70. That's the average human. In this day and age, some of our peers don't live to be that long. So for me, ACE was a privilege. Mr. Theo van Gent was my principal, who used to come into class every day and say being at an ACE school is a privilege, and it is not a right. Sometimes I believe that it should be a right, because the seeds that were sown into me was something that no one can take away. I remember 9/11. There were these skyscrapers, the Twin Towers. They collapsed on 9/11. I had the opportunity of attending the International Student Convention, where I actually saw where that took place. But you know what remained after those two towers collapsed? A foundation remained. And that's the principle of life. When you're high up there, and when troubles come, when things come and you see negativity all around you, and you feel like God is silent, but He's still there, that foundation, when you crumble, will come back to you. Those life principles you learned at ACE, when the first page you opened in a page told you about a Bible verse, first monthly scripture you had to memorize. Honor roll. We used to love honor roll. I used to love honor roll. I used to get honor roll because I liked going to the trips. I liked the idea of being rewarded for your achievements, of saying, well done. How many of us know that one day when we go to heaven, God is going to say, well done, my good and faithful servant. The best the best words my mother ever said to me was, "I'm proud of you." And those are words I got from ACE, from being in an ACE school. They would do goal checks every morning to see that you've completed the goals that you've checked, that you've set. And then you'd get a well done slip that would return back to your parents, and they would have to sign it. And they'd give you a sweet to say, "Well done." To me, that was something. To me as a child, that empowered me, that encouraged me to be better, to do better. I went to the All Africa Student Convention there, and I saw students completing 100 paces, working hard, doing things I never thought I couldn't have done. I went there and I did expressive reading, and I did puppet plays. But you never know, when you're young, you never know how God is going to use all these things to equip you, And as I came to university and I got into medicine, I realized that most of the tests in medicine aren't written. You have a patient in front of you, you examine a patient, and you present that patient to a professor. And not a professor from the University of Pretoria who knows you. No, it's from all the other universities. And you have to project confidence. You have to fight for your patients. So I was just talking about how I used to ask why this, why that. It's the same thing. And the best thing about ACE that I've learned is being an individual. It taught you to be an individual, to be different from the world. When you told me different, I'm happy because it says to me that you've seen that I'm different from all the others. You've set me apart. And that's what we do as Christians. We're supposed to be set apart. We're supposed to be transformed. ACE didn't only strengthen me, it strengthened my parents. At situations where life wasn't easy for my parents, and as a young child you witness all of this. And as a child you never listen to what your parents say. You never, even as a teenager, you never do that. But the only thing you listen to is what they do. And their actions communicate far more to you than what they're going to say. The best thing a parent can ever do for their child is for that parent to be present, for that parent to be involved in their child's life. It says something. It says that you're starting a new generation. Our parents don't come from great times. They come from adversity. But they wanted something different for me. They want something different for each and every one of us. In my community, where I come from, all the girls there are not anything. They look at me and they want to be me. And you know what I tell them? I say it's where I'm grounded. It's my foundation. I'm proud of where I come from. I'm proud of being an ACE student. I'm proud of when people look at me, they know that they can see Christ in me. It's something you work at it. And it's something that starts with a good attitude. It's an attitude towards life. It's a good attitude that says, every day when I wake up, I'm preparing my heart. I'm preparing my heart for that pace. My worst pace was Math 70. It was a horrible pace. You know why it was a horrible pace? Because at the beginning, my friend who was ahead of me told me it was a horrible pace. The seniors told me it was a horrible pace. So I took that negativity and said this is going to be a horrible pace. And indeed it was. It was a horrible pace. It is your attitude at the beginning of every difficult task that determines your success. It is your attitude that determines your altitude. You might think of attitude as a small thing. When you do this at the principal, you're like, what is he talking about? But it makes a big difference. Attitude has got to do with what you think. Attitude has got to do with what you communicate to your children. Attitude has got what to do with how you see the school as a parent. I went throughout ACE. Throughout my teenagehood, I was in ACE. And not because it was easy, not because I'd gotten used to the system, it wasn't. When I was in high school, my friends were all changing schools, going to high schools, attending parties, doing this and that. I stayed in ACE. My parents allowed me to stay in ACE. And I thank God for being in ACE. Because when the world out there, and it is a tough world out there, I know that I'm ready for it. As parents, and I'm not a parent, but I'd like to think that one day I will be a parent. As parents, you can't prepare the world for your child. You can't change it. You can't do anything about it. That is out of your control. But you can change your child for the world. You can equip them with a firm foundation. And that starts here. That starts with the biblical principle. Education, everyone gets an education. It's true. Everyone gets an education. But not everyone gets a Christian education. A firm foundation that when your child one day becomes president, or when your child becomes something, and all the world turns against them when they fall, they can come back to that foundation. Ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to be with you here, to tell you about AC. Thank you.